So we talked about this hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of times before, but it's particularly to do with students, student visas, particularly from countries, people coming into Ireland to study in Ireland. Now, as you know, and I'm sure you've seen the figures for last year, over 60,000 people came here on student visas. And again, this is Ireland, just to say, not the whole European Union. And that's less than France and less than Germany. Like, think about that for a second. Like, there was less student visas granted from them countries, bigger countries, far bigger countries than in Holland. There's something very wrong there. And particularly we see a lot of cases that bringing the whole family with them, like quite literally. And of course the government are paying for it all and the European Union are paying for it all. And of course that means too there's a shortage in student accommodation. I know myself, I know so many young people. Young people from Cavan have to run up and down on buses every day to Dublin because simply they can't afford to get a place. But people that turn up out of the blue, we don't know anything about them. They get, I don't know how they can pay for it, but the European Union's paying for it, the Irish government's paying for it, but there's no money for the young Irish people. Simple as that, and if that's far away the way, so be it. But there's so many of them, even take for example in Sligo at the moment. This house is being used for direct provision. They shouldn't be used, they're designated for student housing, and they're being used for direct provision, people that are seeking asylum in the country, when Irish people have to run up and down on buses to from Sligo to Cavan. It's absolutely scandalous. It really, really is, because you have to put your own people first, regardless of whoever else comes in. Your own people comes first. And I would say the same thing for any of their countries. If you come from Bangladesh, if you come from India, your people should come first over there. Irish people no entitlement to anything over there, just to say. That's the way I see it in the world. But long story short, I'm sure everybody would agree 60,000 for such a small country like Ireland, especially the housing situation. And especially when you just see the whole economic situation of the country, particularly for young people, young Irish people. There shouldn't be, at most we should be taking in 5,000 at most, but mainly from the Western world, people from the West, people in the European Union, even the United States, Canada, people who have Western values, etc. Because we've seen an instant, up in court there yesterday, an Indian person that's came here. He was only here a month. He was literally only here a month, and he decided to disgrace himself and this, to show himself up. Let's put it. And he should be deported. It's a disgrace how the judge didn't just send him straight home. That's what he should have happened. But he's here on a student visa. The Irish government are paying for him to be here. And he went and exposed himself to 3 women. Just to say, that's the tax too. And again, anybody that shows disrespect to the country is studying should be sent home immediately, without any delay. We revoke their visa and send them home. And of course bill them the expense for sending them home. But yeah, that's the level we're at here. I think it would be great for the Irish government, because again, you're not entitled to anything. The only people that are entitled to anything in this country is an Irish citizen, and that's the same in any country. You put your own people first. But this is the thing. It's the same if I wanted to go and study in Finland, if I wanted to go and study in Norway or Sweden or wherever. They're not obligated. They don't have any obligation, even though I'm a European citizen. They have no obligation. They could say, no, we don't want you. Why should we take you? We don't want you. We don't want you. It's the same. They could take for example my example. They could say you're dyslexic. We don't want anything to do with you. You're too much hassle, and that's their right. That's their right. I might not like it, but that's their right as a country. We don't want to go to the expense for a foreign national. We're putting it to our own people. And I say the Swedish government said that, I'd be like, that's totally fair enough, because I'm not paying the Swedish government. I'm going there to study. And the Swedish government's like, why should we spend the money on special needs assistance for you while we have our own people suffering? And they'd be perfectly entitled to do that, because it's their country. I can't come in and tell them what to do and how to run it. And they'd be totally entitled to it, and that's the thing. Because again, it's a gift. It's a gift. It's not a reward, but it's a gift. The Irish government doesn't have to give it to you, to any person seeking to come here as a student. We're not obligated. It's a pleasure, I suppose you may say. It's a luxury too. It can be taken away, but it's a luxury, and it's not there forever. Of course, we have instances of people staying here literally years after the student visas are up. Like literally, there was a person from Bangladesh. He was here 10 years before they came across him on a student visa. He worked in the country for 10 years. Imagine that. And when we didn't have a clue where he was, and he's here, but they got him eventually. But long story short, he was here for 10 years. So basically, he wasn't even documented in this country. I don't even know, was he paying tax? But let's put it this way. He worked in a job and stuff, and they didn't find it for 10 years. So that's what happens. And this is the thing. It's a scam too, because there's a lot of people coming in, and they're not claiming. They end up coming here and they end up maybe going to college for a year and then disappear off the system, and then just end up going to some other part of Ireland and getting a job in some kebab shop or whatever. And that's the thing. It shouldn't be happening. Simple as that. And we have to crack down on it. But what I'm trying to say, it should be only about 5,000 people a year should be coming in on a student visa. And of course, we should be looking at their details very carefully and making sure that we pick the best of the best, because that's what we want in this country. We want the best of the best, particularly when we're paying for it in a lot of the cases. And the European Union, we want people that are trustworthy people who are good, decent people. We should be looking at it very fiercely. And as I say, people particularly from the West who believe in democracy and freedom, and believe in freedom of speech, etc. That's what we want. Because obviously we're bringing in people from China to have a security risk, because we never know what the Communist Party is up to in China. We should be taking in people from China too as a national security concern, because we've seen that being abused in other countries where students have come in and spied on universities and spied on government facilities and stuff. That's happened. It hasn't happened here, not to my knowledge, but it probably is happening. But it has happened in the UK, it has happened in other countries where people have come in on student visas and spied for the Communist Party of China. And we don't want that. We simply don't want that in this country. We don't want anything to do with them. But yeah, so let me know what you think. But I do think we should be more tougher, because it's been abused in a billion different ways. And that's only a short essay of it, because I could go on. The list is endless. But what I'm trying to say, it's unsustainable. And we hear that word sustainability a lot in this country, but it is unsustainable. Like, the level of people coming in is unsustainable, particularly student visas. It's absolutely unsustainable when you take into account just the sheer lack of accommodation for our own people, let alone for everybody else. It doesn't make any sense why you would pile on more people into the problem. Why would you do that? Like, nobody would do that. No sane government would do that. No sane person would say, yeah, there's already big problems, let's pile on more people. Like, no sane person would sit there and say, yeah, I agree. Like, nobody would. Nobody, in my opinion, would anyway. But let me know what you think. Subscribe for more, and bye.